Howdy folks, I'm Magnificent Mermaid, marvelously making musical melodies.
I'm Amber.
And here are more musical melodies for us to lure the sailors in and I'm sure not wreck them upon our shores. We're not those kinds of mermaid, the sea siren kinds. So let's get started.
Yeah, definitely not wink wink nudge nudge.
Alright folks, then our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Trying to Shoulder More of Her Bills as the Higher Earner, even though it hurt my husband's pride and led to a massive fight? I'm a 38-year-old female and I'm a structural engineer. My job is very high stress and I make a good salary. My husband, a 40-year-old male, is a teacher. He's amazing at what he does, but his salary is less than mine. For our whole marriage, 10 years, we've always split the bills 50-50. It's worked fine, but recently, with inflation and rising costs, I've noticed that he's been struggling. He's had to dip into savings, cut back on hobbies, and he's been stressed and snappy. It hurt to see him wearing himself down just to keep up. So I suggested that we change things up last month. Instead of splitting 50-50, I would cover about 70% and he would do 30%. I explained that it wasn't about him not pulling his weight. I used the analogy from work. When one column in a structure is under more load, you reinforce it, you don't blame it. I told him that this was the same, me reinforcing things so that we don't collapse financially, and that I love him. Well, he didn't take it well. At first he was quiet, then late last month he blew up. He said that I was treating him like a charity case, and that I was making him feel like less of a man, and that I was basically flaunting that I have a better job. He accused me of trying to control him and our life because I make more. He even brought up old stuff, like when I missed his birthday years ago because of a work deadline, saying that I've always put my career above him. Well, we had a huge fight, and I tried to explain that this wasn't about control, it was about love and stability. But he stormed off, saying that I was damaging our marriage by not letting him contribute equally. Well, the next day, he apologized and admitted that his pride got in his way, but the scar is still there. I feel like I did the right thing financially, but maybe I was wrong to push it. I wanted to help, but instead I hurt his pride and made him feel small. I'm really scared and worried about our future if money keeps being a sensitive subject like this. Am I the jerk for suggesting a different split on bills, even though I meant it respectfully, because I ended up hurting his feelings and pride? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, I don't think, Opie, you're the jerk here. It seems like you were just trying to take the load off of your partner. And it is unfortunate that his masculinity is so tied up in like the breadwinner stereotype, and he's not able to, like with all the costs, able to keep up with that anymore. But he shouldn't be lashing out at you over a simple suggestion. Like, it's fine if he wants to say, no, I like things as they are. But you know, the way I think he might need some therapy to help him work through these feelings of inadequacy that he's feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I think couples therapy would be a really good place to go from here, and individual therapy. I think that they have a lot of things to kind of talk about, because this was like a really out of proportion blow up that he's had here, right? Like he treated this like OP, slapped him or something like that. And I mean, I understand like it can be difficult when you feel like you're not pulling your weight, and I understand like him feeling maybe, maybe having his hurt pride, but I mean, OP was doing this not out of malice, but as a way to help him and try to help him, be able to pay, his portion of the bills, right? And he shouldn't be mad at OP here. He should be mad that his job isn't providing him with raises at a regular enough interval that it can continue to support his cost of living, right? And so I think that that's the real shame here, is that it's not like OP did anything wrong. He should be being paid more. Teachers are an important part of our society, and unfortunately they get paid way less than what they deserve. And I really feel bad for him, and I feel bad for OP, but I think that this isn't an excuse for him to blow up at OP either.
Right.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Always Right Zero says, is there a reason why you don't just combine finances? And OP replies, that's a fair question. We've actually talked about combining finances before, but he's always been more comfortable keeping things separate. I've respected that since it's worked for us for years. I think the situation might be a wake-up call that a team account could take some of the pressure off and make it feel less like we're tallying who pays for what. And Cronkless Sorta says, not the jerk. If my wife made significantly more than I do, I would be over the moon with joy and gladly hand over some of the bills. We would be able to retire that much sooner. And OP replies, thank you for saying that. Honestly, that's the mindset that I wish that he could have too, because in my eyes, it's our money and our future. I wasn't trying to take anything away from him. I was just trying to make sure that we both get to breathe a little easier and hopefully retire together without burning out. And Artistic Dragon Mom 77 says, not the jerk, and your man also needs to go to therapy and work on that self-worth issue that he's got. I'm no professional, but this sounds like he's got some stuff that he needs to work through so that he can love himself the way that he ought to. If he doesn't address these feelings, it's only going to get worse, and he's going to keep lashing out at loved ones and pushing people away. And Opie replies, thank you, I think that you're right, and that some of this goes deeper than just money. He's an incredible man and a great teacher, but I can see how the financial imbalance makes him feel less than, even though I don't view him that way at all. I've gently suggested couples counseling before, and maybe it's time that we revisit that idea, because I want us to feel secure and respected in the relationship. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Swapping Out the Door Code After My Mom Just Kept Dropping In with that key that I handed her? I'm a 29-year-old male and I'm shacking up with my partner, a 28-year-old female. When we snagged this condo, I gave my mom the key and code for emergencies and to watch the cat. But these days, she's been letting herself in without warning, like 3 times just this last month. Once she barged in at 8 a.m. on a Saturday while we were still crashed out and totally freaked us out. Another time, she strolled right in when my partner was fresh out of the shower in just a towel. I told her to shoot us a text ahead, and she hit back that families don't knock and that I'm overreacting. After the towel mess, I switched the code and said that I would share it, again, no problem, but just for real emergencies or stuff that we set up beforehand. Now she's mad, accusing me of icing her out and claiming that my partner is poisoning me against her. Side note, my partner backs the boundary, but figures that flipping the code without a heads up was kind of abrupt. Did I mess this up? Should I hand the key back with tighter guidelines or stick to my guns? All right, folks, what do you think?
Stick to your guns, OP. I mean, the way she's like, oh, well, families don't have, like, I forgot her exact boundaries, yeah. Like, that is horrifying, right, in its own right. She's made it clear that she will trample all over any boundaries you try to set with her. So the only thing you can do is not give her access to your house.
I mean, I think this was wise of OP. It's going to start off small, and she's going to erode away those boundaries. And I think, like, this is just the first of many boundary crossings. And I think if she learns now that these kind of behaviors aren't going to be acceptable and that OP isn't going to put up with them, then she's going to hopefully stop trying to push, these boundaries, right?
And if she keeps it up, then that will just give you more reason to push her further and further out of your life. Like, she can cry all she wants about this, but she's doing it to herself. It's very reasonable to expect people to give you a heads up before dropping into your house.
Yeah.
And like, if I were to drop into someone's house, I mean, not that I would drop in unannounced, but, and like see them, like their partner hanging out in just a towel, I would be mortified and definitely like make sure to give them a heads up,
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Today I Messed Up. I'm pretty sure my coworkers think that I eat cat food. I work at a factory, and this week I've been working a different shift than normal. Most of my team is in training, so I've been covering the third shift for the week to fill the gap. Normally I work second shift, and because of my role, I spend most of my time away from my desk dealing with active issues. So normally I would spend my break eating at my desk so I can catch up on paperwork while I eat. Well, the third shift is slower, and there aren't as many situations that need my intervention. As such, I got ahead on my paperwork. I also wanted to socialize some, so I decided to take my lunch in the break room with the rest of the staff. For lunch today, I made a tuna sandwich with sriracha sauce. I didn't want the bread to get soggy, so I mixed the tuna and sauce and I put them back on the can. Then I used the can lid to seal the can. At lunch, I sat with some of the people that I had chatted with and assembled my sandwich. One of the people looked at the can and said, "Is that cat food?" I was very confused and said, "It's just tuna," and then I went back to eating and talking. I thought that I noticed some of the other people giving me some glances, and after I picked it up, I realized that one, the tuna isn't just red and orange, so obviously it was mixed up with something, and two, the can lid was branded with the local pet food store logo. The coworker asked if I was eating cat food, and I didn't deny it because I was so confused. And this is what the picture of the lid looks like. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I think it's a silly mix up. It's, easy to kind of like get so caught up you don't even really think about what you're saying. So, but we could take this, one of two ways. They could just pretend and definitely they're eating cat food, or they could just explain it, and it really depends on what kind of working environment OP wants.
Yeah, I mean, or they could just buy themselves a ball of yarn and some cat ears.
Or that too.
And maybe get themselves some cat treats, or like replace, some of some of the suggestions in the comments were like replace out like the cat treats in a bag with something else, with like analogs for humans or something like that. I don't know. All very silly stuff. Very, very silly stuff. I think that OP can explain this if they want. They also don't have to explain it. And next time that it comes up, when they bring their food in, they can just be like, oh, I was realizing that you're probably wondering why I'm using a cat food lid here. It's because it's certainly not cat food. But also, like, why would you bring in a full thing of cat food, right? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, you would only reuse the lid if you had opened it and then like had some left over, right? But it sounds like OP had a lot of tuna fish in there. So I think that the coworker just kind of needs to mind their own business at a certain point. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Ferio Day says, laughing my butt off, this is hilarious actually. It's just tuna, not the slightest denying that it's cat food. And OP replies, it was such a bizarre accusation that I had no idea where it was coming from. Normal human people eat tuna. Tuna sandwich is very tasty and healthy. Her tone of disgust is what really threw me off. I forgot the lid. And Damn Man, That's My Jam says, saying things like normal human people eat tuna is not doing you any favors if you're trying to convince us that you're not actually a cat in a human suit. And OP replies, I'm a dog person. I love cats too, but dogs are my jam. Granted, my current dog prefers fish to pretty much anything else. Maybe your dog is also a cat. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Today I Messed Up by Tipping 120% to a Pizza Guy. I ordered pizza with a buddy, already paid online, but I totally forgot. So I answered the door with $30 in cash, like a drunk Mr. Beast, and I handed it over thinking that I was giving a normal tip. Driver, mid-30s, broken English, driving a car, looked allergic to oil changes, says thank you, and like I just cleared his student loans. Well, 2 seconds later, my brain finally boots. I just tipped him 120% of the order. I thought about asking for it back, but then I saw him literally hop skip to his car, grinning like he had just unlocked a cheat code for life. So yeah, I'm broke, but at least I accidentally cosplayed as a philanthropist for 5 minutes. Sometimes mistakes really do upgrade someone's night. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I'm glad that this ended up being a wholesome thing.
Yeah.
It was a mistake, but it had some really good consequences, so that's cool.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that OP didn't like stop him and was like, oh, actually, I meant just to give you $10, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it can be a little bit unpleasant when you spend more than what you were expecting, and hopefully OP isn't that broke, but maybe they'll have to eat peanut butter sandwiches from here out for the rest of the week. I don't know. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Today I Messed Up by Not Waiting Until My Fiance Was Asleep. For some context, I have high-functioning autism, which I definitely think played a role in the situation. My fiance was married before we even met each other, to a man that constantly put her down and made her feel like garbage. After years of being told that she was ugly and worthless, she started to believe it. When we first started dating, I did a bunch of research into ways to help her with her self-esteem. One of the ways that I found out in an article was about unconscious thoughts. The article explained that when told positive things in their sleep, people began to think more positively about themselves. Armed with this knowledge, I started waiting until she had fallen asleep to tell her all of the things that I loved about her. I tell her how beautiful she is and how smart and hardworking she is. I also tell her that she's a good mom, and that I'm so lucky to have her in my life. And amazingly, I think that it's helping. Where I messed up is that when we were going to bed the other night, I didn't wait long enough for her to fall asleep. And I told her that she was my soulmate and that she was so beautiful. And she looked up at me and said, huh? I'm sure that I had a shocked Pikachu face when I responded with, oh, you're awake. I then had to very embarrassingly explain to her what I was doing and why, and how long I've been doing it for. She cried and made me promise that I would always love her as much as I do right now. All right, folks, what do you think?
Oh, that's wholesome. I don't really think that's a mess up, Opie. I think you just made your partner's night.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, there's a line, a gray ethical line here, and I'm glad that she's okay with it in the end. But I mean, like, certainly, like, it's weird to, like, try to subconsciously brainwash your partner on some level. But in this particular case, OP is doing it with the most benevolent of intentions.
Well,
So,
yeah, it sounds like Opie's just trying to build her up and like let her know how loved she is.
but they can also say those things during the daytime, right? And if OP isn't giving them as much attention as they should during the daytime and letting them know these things, then I mean, maybe they can let them know during the daytime too. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What did the chai say to their date?
The chai said, I'm a tea, you're a tea, let's all go, your beauty is unparalleled tea to all the tea in China.
Darling, you're terrific.
I was close.
Well, yeah, beautiful would have worked really well too.
Yeah.
And it's National Chai Day.
Ooh.
And it's also Wife Appreciation Day, so you're obligated to appreciate me, Brian.
Yes. You're appreciated. And I have Earl Grey. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Special Sunday, folks. And you know what makes it special? You do, and Amber does too. How's that for appreciation? And the people from the last few stories also make it special.
And so does Brian.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it a little wholesome.
It's cool to give your partner positive affirmations, but make sure you also do so when they're awake.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!